Hey everybody, it's been a long time since I've made a video, and today I wanted to talk about two things, which is some of the upcoming functionality in Plasticity 1.3, in particular the Blender Bridge, and I also want to talk about some changes to the Plasticity indie price. The price is going up, and I want to explain why and how. But first, let's talk a little bit about the Blender Bridge. The bridge is the flagship feature of Plasticity 1.3, but there's actually a ton of great new functionality. As always, there's customizable pie menus, there's a bunch of new modeling tools, blah, blah, blah. We're just going to focus on the bridge for now. Now, the great thing about the Blender Bridge is that it allows you to really quickly import data from Plasticity into Blender. So once you've connected, you can just click refresh and data is loaded really quickly. You don't need to worry about exporting to a temporary file and getting all the faceting options right. Now, in previous videos, I've shown like a demo of the live link, and the live link is a really kind of cool feature. You know, you can see stuff being updated in real time, but I think that's a little bit more of just like a novelty, and the real workhorse of the Blender Bridge is the ability to like really quickly get assets in so that you can see using Blender materials, Blender lighting, ray tracing. You can see your objects in a scene. You can see your objects with like the real camera that might be used in a game or in a final render with a specific FOV or something like that. You get the full power of Blender, including parenting things to empty, so you can animate things and rig them and see like if your mechanical parts like all fit together, and you can have multiple plasticity documents sort of floating in Blender. Okay, so what I think is really compelling about the bridge is the fact that you can actually, almost all of the faceting tools in Plasticity have been made available inside a Blender. So you can, at any point, quickly refacet things to get the polygon density or edge flow that you need for your model. So this is a nice inversion of the current workflow where you export to like an OBJ file and you have to specify the exact precision and whatever you want beforehand. This is just a much faster workflow where you can sort of load everything into a scene, place everything, the lights, the cameras, all the other companion objects, and then you can worry about changing the faceting settings later. And at any point, you can always just refacet. And perhaps equally compelling is because I'm not using this legacy polygonal format like OBJ or FBX, I'm able to provide more information in Blender than was possible before. So in Blender, you have the polygons, the triangles, the n-gons. You don't have normally information about the plasticity topology, the plasticity faces, and the plasticity edges, but that is no longer true. It's now possible, for example, to select plasticity faces given a Blender face. So, for example, you can quickly select a chain of faces. Oops. You can quickly select a chain of faces that would be the equivalent of selecting these three faces in plasticity. Now, why is that useful? Well, you can use it to like make UVs, and so it's now much faster to UV things in plasticity. So let me just give you a simple example. So if we refacet this with like a simple triangular topology, because we now have metadata about the plasticity faces, we know which faces have sharp edges and which are smoothly connected. So there's a tool to kind of like auto mark edges if you have like one face selected, or if no faces are selected, it'll mark all the faces of plasticity, but if you do smart edge marking, it'll ignore smoothly connected faces. And so this is like a nice this is a nice way to UV unwrap in a quick way. And so in the real world, things are a bit more complicated. So like let's look at this model, for example. There's or this body. This only has a lot of sharp edges. So it's not if we auto mark oops, didn't want to select that. If we auto mark, it's going to mark at every plasticity face boundary, whether we're sharp or not. Let's actually use seams here rather than sharpness. Now, the nice thing one of my users built, in fact, a lot of this functionality is kind of written by user contribution, is a tool to merge UV seams. So you see that that seam right there just disappeared. And so you can like very quickly kind of build a nice UV unwrapping, or you have a nice UV unwrapping workflow that is only possible because there's all this extra data in Blender now that wasn't possible using polygonal formats. And again, because you know you can do this at any time, you can always refacet and stuff. I really think that you know this isn't something revolutionary really, but I do think in practice this is going to be a huge productivity boost for people who use Blender. Like if you are making final product renders or game assets, this is going to save you a lot of time. Okay, so now let's talk about something that I've been dreading talking about, but it's time. If you've been following my videos for a while, I've talked about the pricing of plasticity a lot. The pricing of plasticity, the indie model, is not really profitable for me. I sell it at the lowest possible price because I'm passionate about kind of sharing this NURBS modeling workflow with the world, and I'm trying to get people on board and excited about the product. $99 is like by far the cheapest Parasolid based CAD program in the world. It's like a third of the cost of Moi 3D. It's a third of the cost of the yearly subscription of Shaper 3D. It's a fourth of the cost of the yearly subscription of the commercial license for Fusion 360. It really is this sensational deal, but it's not really profitable. I'm selling it basically at cost. And the thing is, I have a vision in my head, a picture of the Plasticity 2.0, 3.0, what I want to build over the next 1, 2, 3 years. I'm very excited about building new modeling and surfacing functionality that has never before been seen in any CAD program, whether it's a consumer thing or like a super high-end pro thing like Alias. I want to build new tools that haven't been seen before. And I want to build a company that can sustain itself and do that. And that's not a one-person company. I've already hired my first PhD in computational geometry to work on advanced surfacing techniques, and that's something I'm really excited about. And also, customer service and technical support and all that stuff costs money. And I'm not trying to build a billion-dollar business or sell myself to Autodesk, but I want to build a sustainable company that's going to build a Plasticity 2.0 and 3.0 that is just going to be this sensational, innovative piece of software. And so the price of indie is going to go up to what is the sustainable price for me, and that is $150. It is still a perpetual license. You buy it once, you own it forever. But as an added bonus, instead of this like kind of weird limit that I've had before, this idea that you're buying Plasticity 1.0, therefore you get only 1.x updates. With the new license at $150, you get 12 months of free upgrades, period. It's the same as Studio. The difference between the two is still that Studio has access to the beta, all these additional formats, but now both licenses have a 12-month unlimited upgrade, regardless of minor, major version, whatever. And I think, ultimately it's a better deal and it's a more modern model for software. This whole like 1.0, 2.0 thing is like a 1990s idea where things were burned onto floppy disks and sold on retail shelves in a box. Part of the thing that makes Plasticity as a company unique is they're really, the pace of development is very fast. There are new features every 2 or 3 months, or really every month there's like major new features on the beta. And that's what you're buying, not just like the 1.0 of Plasticity. You're buying into a kind of an evolving software program that's constantly changing and improving and adding more and more powerful features. And so if you are on like a super tight budget and you've been, saving up to buy Plasticity at $99, you can still do that for the next couple weeks. But when Plasticity 1.3 comes out, the price will be $150. Now, to be clear, Plasticity 1.3 is a 1.x update. So if you buy Indie today, you will get Plasticity 1.3 when it comes out. There may also be a Plasticity 1.4, although it's going to be a very minor release. It'll be the last release of the year. And yeah, that is the model. And I know that no one's excited about prices going up, but you still have a couple weeks to get it at this like insanely low price that is a fraction of the competition. Anyway, I think that while this is sort of difficult news to share with the world, like this is the thing that's going to make Plasticity as a company kind of elevate itself to the next level. All right, so thank you for your time, and I'll see you in a few weeks when Plasticity 1.3 comes out, which is, let's say, October 1st, but I can't say for certain yet.